Can't deny facts, though. Can't deny facts.
You can't deny facts, man.
Can't deny
facts, man.
You know, it's interesting.
We don't rock with him, though.
It's interesting because a lot of the people, after he said it, they were calling me, asking me to verify because they didn't believe that MJ could have treated him as badly as what Kwame said that he treated him. And it's interesting because, all right, so remember after The Last Dance, I did an interview with NBA Buzz, Mikey Domagala. I can't pronounce his name, but it's NBA Buzz. And so I was talking about the Doug Collins aspect and the stuff that I saw from there, right? And so, you know, after all this stuff happened, NBA Buzz put that article back out. I mean, the interview back out. And I'm talking about all this stuff with Doug and how everything was Kwame's fault. And it was like sometimes there would be stuff that didn't even have nothing to do with Kwame, and it was Kwame's fault. And it was like he was like the scapegoat because I saw Doug wasn't going to get on MJ. He wasn't going to say, MJ, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. It was Kwame, you didn't do this right. And I'm looking, I'm like, what Kwame got to do with this? And that's what I saw so much, though. But Seaway, tell me a little bit about what you saw.
I've seen that too. I've seen that. I've seen it myself as a professional, as a pro football player. I've seen guys who became scapegoats because this guy's making too much money for a coach to start chewing him out, even though we looking at the film and we seeing that it was him who he was off. Like we talked about these certain paths that guys had to take. We talked about angles. We talked about footwork, and he's off. But the coach doesn't really say really anything watching the film. But the next guy over, who may be a younger guy, he's getting talked bad to because really he's thrown off by the big shot not taking his proper footwork, not getting his hands in the right spot. And that affected his partner's ability to block that guy, but he's getting chewed out for it. So he is chewing out the big shot through the young guy, which, you know, when you're in those kind of situations, it can be like, well, shit. I mean, that ain't got nothing to do with him. That's really on the other guy. So you see that there is that's bad culture. You know, that's where you see guys who learn, who really aren't taught in the manner that really is productive and helps to create chemistry on the team.
I think from the beginning, man, when M first came back, I knew it was going to be different. I suppose that we had one TV game, and they had two different like TV schedules. If he came or he didn't come. If he came, we had like 40-something games. Man, we were on TV all the time. So I knew it was going to be totally different. You know what I'm saying? So all accounts that I got was just like yours at times, that you saw it, but Kwame killed those in those workouts. It was no question. Then they brought them back again, and he did it again. So I can only imagine, like, you know, I've put myself in his shoes at 17 years old and trying to live up to that #1 draft pick status or what have you, but just playing in the NBA period. At 17, none of us would have been ready. None of us have been ready. You know what I'm saying? I remember one instance. You'll remember when we played the Celtics up in Uncas, Connecticut, preseason. And M opened up the restaurant, the sports bar, whatever, inside the casino, right?
Casino, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we went. We were all, we was all invited. We went. So after it was over, we went to the casino. So I'm with Kwame, and everybody knows who he is. They were like, "Hey, you got to get out. You got to be 21." Blah blah blah. So he and I left. We went back to the room and chilled for a while, just kicked it like good fellas, you know what I'm saying, like we do. But he couldn't hang with all of us and do things like that. Now, me and Jihadi, we kind of took him on in D.C. We had him out there, right? But, that's got to be tough, man. It's like, if we didn't do those things with him, at home he had his fam. He had some fam come up. I can only imagine how tough that is, man. Like, you can't be around your teammates. You're used to doing that stuff, and but when he was out there playing, man, it was so much on him, man. Like he I don't know if y'all remember the little warm-up drill. We had to jump on one leg, and we're all jumping, right? And we're jumping pretty high, and they would yell at Kwame, "Jump higher, touch the ceiling." And we're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
They was, and you could see him really straining, right, trying to jump higher and higher. It's like it's only so high he can jump on one. This is just warm up. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and then if something was not, if he didn't understand something, we'd run a play, and they would tell him to do something. You could see the confusion in his mind because he just didn't know. Then it would be like, "Hey, come on, next. Somebody get in. Time. Get in at the 4. Take a spot." You see what I'm saying? So it was just hard on him. And then, like you said, man, with MJ, it was like we coming in to win. He didn't. It wasn't a lot of time to.
It wasn't a grooming. It wasn't a situation for. It wasn't a situation for a grooming process.
Right.
Exactly. Not for a 17-year-old.
And I think that's a potent point right there. At the professional level, there is not enough reps. There's not enough reps in practice for guys who don't understand what's being asked of them on a particular play or during a particular portion of practice. There's not that time for a guy to get multiple reps over and over and over to learn it. Practice goes by fast, practice moves fast, and if you're not, that's why there's so much emphasis on film after practice, film at home, being able to, absorb all that information for a young guy who's 17 years old. I mean, listen, man, this shit is crazy. As a rookie in the NFL, in all honesty, my entire first year in the NFL, for as much studying of the playbook I did, for as much taking of notes that I did as a rookie at 23, by the end of that first season, I didn't know I still didn't know nothing. I still could not answer questions from my position coach about different looks and different defenses versus certain plays. I didn't understand it. It was a different language. I was learning a different language. I was learning a new philosophy. And it took me 2 seasons going into my third for the light to come on. And then from there, I was able to rely on my physical abilities, my athleticism, my strength, my leverage. Those are all things that I was able to learn to be able to lean on after I understood what it was the hell I was supposed to be doing. And just to give you guys, let me see, I think I got it in here. And shout out to Maurice Jones-Drew, because he's the one who gave me this a couple years ago when I asked for it for some business stuff. This is an NFL playbook. This is the Raiders playbook from 2014, I believe. But, I mean, if you go through this thing, there is so much in here that you have to know. There is a litany of things that you have to know. And there are rules. There are different rules and different sets of rules. There are different sets of rules that you have to know all the time. You have to understand these rules and where the small nuances are between all of them. That takes years. From there, you still have another couple of levels of understanding that you'll achieve as a player that make it easy for you by the time you're in your third, fourth year. You're doing it without thinking about it. And you have to be able to hold information for long periods of times, and they have to be like second nature to you. And for a 17-year-old, that's not even feasible. I could never even begin to even consider understanding an NFL playbook when I was 17. Hell, I didn't even know I didn't even know all really the rules in college. I just was going out there and playing. I knew which way I was supposed to go block, and I went. This guy was 17 years old. There's no You cannot coach him the same way that you're coaching these other grown men. It's just not going to work. Well, let's get back to it.
Kwame came in. Tell me this. When Kwame came in, we all knew the age he was. But did he act 17, 18?
No.
He was a mature dude.
No. Yeah.
You know?
Oh, he didn't.
Right? And I say this, and I always say this. All right, he was the #1 draft pick. But if he wasn't, say for instance he was number 15.
Mm-hmm.
His career was good.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, he had a decent career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his career was good.
Yeah.
Right? So, 12 years in the NBA? You know,
13,
you can't last 12 years. I know some #1 draft picks didn't last 12 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And also, we got to understand, too, you know, when Mike came in thinking about Mike.
Yes.
Mike didn't come in to be like, I'm here to help y'all get better. No, Mike
it was Mike. The whole point, Mike coming
about
right.
doing Mike. I mean, and Mike was playing my position, so I knew that it was going to shorten up my time.
Right.
So, you know, I'm sitting on the bench, hated. Like people don't realize, you know, when you're an athlete, bro, and you want to play, I'm not sitting there to be a cheerleader. You know, I'm not. That's just, you know, your mind is not like that. And people think you should be happy you're on the team. No, bro. I know, like anybody else know, if you ain't performing, you ain't getting another contract.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, you know, I'm sitting there just like, man, this guy, I know he's going to play the 3 spot because he ain't going to be fast enough to go for the 2. So I knew he was going to be playing my spot. So I knew I had to sit back, and I talked to Wes Unseld because, you know, y'all don't know, but I was trying to get traded. I went to him and tried to get traded. When they told me he was coming back, I ain't going to even lie. I said, and Wes was like, he ain't going to last the whole season. Don't worry about it, Nesby. He ain't going. And I was like, Wes, I'm telling you, man, I can see right now, it's a wrap for me. You know? And it was kind of like, it was just like that. I knew my minutes was going to get low. You know, I just knew all that, man. And not trying to knock Mike, because Mike just being Mike. But everybody thought Mike was coming to, like, really help us out.
Yeah,
but Mike had one thing in mind. That's Mike.
To win.
And I think that's a huge point that people got to understand. And I didn't even understand that initially. Like, even when it was happening in real time back then, I remember I always thought of it as Michael Jordan's coming back to play for the Washington Wizards to help build the Washington Wizards, to help develop them. And I always thought it was such a cool idea because, you know, what better person to have help improve the mentality and the culture of a franchise than, you know, a guy who's looked at as the greatest basketball player of all time in many circles, in most circles, Michael Jordan. Well, as you're hearing right now from these guys, it was never about improving the Washington Wizards. It was about Michael Jordan and him as an ultra competitor. Even, you know, that can be a fault. That can be a flaw when it supersedes the goal of the team, when it supersedes the growth of a team. And that can create a bad culture, because what does it create for the other players in the team, on the team, who, like he just said, these guys were expecting that he was coming in to help them on many levels, not just as a player, but also as a mentor, also as a coach, you know, helping to kind of set the mentality for the entire franchise. But that was never his purpose to them. To them, his purpose was just, it's Mike's back and Mike is going to win. And that, again, that can create a bad culture, because what is the one thing that creates with other players? Resentment. Resentment destroys chemistry. So, you know, that's something definitely to think about.
That was the organization's goal anyway. I mean, that was the whole goal. Is like, hey, we need to bring some people in the stands. This has to be the Mike show. That's the whole point.
So if Mike wouldn't have come out of retirement, you would have seen a whole different situation and a whole different Kwame Brown. There wouldn't have been the same, you know, dynamic. It would have been completely different. When he came in, he had it's like seeing somebody transform from having their confidence to seeing their confidence being taken from them. It's like, and it was two different Kwames. It was like I'm talking about as far as on the court.
Yeah. Will we have the same coach? Would the same coach be in there?
No, it can't be the same coach. Doug can't be nowhere in this equation.
What was the other coach, man?
Leonard Hamilton. Before that, no. But listen,
hey, he would have done better with Leonard Hamilton, though.
Man, don't get me talking about that.
Leonard Hamilton let you play, though.
He would have let Kwame play. Yeah. So all right, do y'all remember? I don't know. I don't remember if this was when that year or the next year, but they would have Kwame, and Kwame told this story in one of the videos. They would have Kwame literally working out like it's a pre-draft workout before the game, 2 hours before the game. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
They would have him.
That shit is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Like, as a player, that would be unfathomable. It would be literally unfathomable to have a player working out like an actual workout, like a tryout style workout, 2 hours before you're gonna go play in a game. I mean, shit. I'd be tired coming in from pregame workout, from the pregame workout on Sunday. Like, you tired when you get back into the locker room. You're not tired like you're exhausted, but you're winded. You're warm. You're warmed up. But that's a taxing, part of the pregame ritual that, it gets you ready to play, but it's just enough anymore, and it's going to affect your ability to like last through the course of the game. But to have this guy working out for 2 hours before the game, like he was a guy they were trying out to come on the team. And if you've ever, I did a workout with, after I left Jacksonville, I did a workout with with the Titans. I went to Tennessee. I met with the coaches. They wanted me to work out with them. And this was in the off season. I did a workout with these cats, and I'm like, God damn, I'm hurting. Like, and this is 7-year professional, and I'm hurting in the workout. I'm holding my shit together. I'm poised. I'm keeping my chest out, but in my head, I'm like, shit. If we go another 15 minutes, I'm gonna have to tap for a minute and take a knee, because these cats, what the hell they be doing here in Tennessee? Shit, I ain't never did workouts like this in Jacksonville, but that's the kind of workout that they were giving Kwame Brown before an actual regular season game. Like, I've seen guys work out before games, like have strong, intense workouts before football games. Those guys didn't play. And if it was starters, it was during the preseason. Yeah, we do a workout. We do some sprints before the game starts, but we ain't playing. We're not even suiting up. So we can do that kind of workout to get our burn, to kind of replace that burn that you'll get if you was playing. But this was crazy.
So we would all start coming in, Kwame be in there drenched sweat. You know what I mean? Just be like, man, what you been doing? Like, they've been working me out, running sprints, doing lifting, all this different stuff. And then come to the game and then put him in the game, and he's dead tired. Like, I'm sitting here next to him on the bench. He's tired. They done work this dude out for 2.5, 3 hours before the game. He's tired. And then I'd be like, why are they doing this with him? Like, why are they? It's like they trying to set him up. Like,
it's sabotage.
Boom.
Yeah,
it's sabotage. Now, there could not be another explanation, in my opinion, because everything you do during the week, and I'm speaking from a football perspective, but I think that it is completely relatable to basketball because it's a team sport. All the work you do during the week is meant to prepare you for Sunday. As you get later into the week, the intensity of your work, it falls off. Why? Because you need that energy. You need to preserve energy. You need to recover. You need to be rested for Sunday. The one thing that is purely destructive to teams that have outdated styles of preparation is that a lot of times they overwork the player. They overwork the player, and by the time you get to Sunday, you start to see more and more players fall off earlier in the game from fatigue. You start to see guys get hurt because when you're fatigued, your form begins to, waver, and you begin to get caught in compromising positions where at the speed of the game, you are more susceptible to being injured because of that. You see that happen. So that is, part and parcel, the biggest reason why you don't keep that pressure and keep that intensity at that high level when you're preparing to go out and actually play games that count. But again, like I said before, the tearing down of Kwame was unnecessary, and it was not the right way to go about trying to build him in whatever mold they wanted to. But when you did these kind of things, that was actually a sabotage on his career. That is literally setting him up for failure, setting him up to look bad, setting him up to be labeled. And that is, in a way, for me, when I think about it, that's a way to shift potential future blame from the people who actually were the masterminds to the person who can be scapegoated because he was the one out there performing.
I laugh for him. I was like, I just be like, I wouldn't know what to say. I'd be like, oh, this is messed up. Like, I don't, and it was after that, it was then the belittling. And I don't know, like, so do y'all remember? You remember how MJ? I remember I think we was in Charlotte, I want to say, and there was a lot of people there for our shoot around for some reason. I don't know if we had to do an appearance or something like that. There was a lot of people in there, and afterwards, MJ took the ball, right, and kicked the ball in the stands, and he said, "Now go get it." And he told Kwame, go fetch the ball, and everybody was looking, and looked at Kwame's face, and I'm like, that ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I understand that.
He told him get it before the
and rookie thing, but I was like,
He told him get it before the bus leaves. Remember we had shoot around.
You remember that?
Get it. He kicked in his hands and told him to go get the ball and get it before the bus leave. You know what I'm saying? Because we was at shoot around. So we get on the bus and we're going back to the hotel. But yeah, he kicked it in the stands and told him, go get it. You better be able to catch the bus. You know what I'm saying? So.
See, that's hazing. That's hazing. Look, there and really no, that's past hazing because now these guys are, this is the end of practice, this is a shoot around. He kicks the ball into the stands, tells them to go fetch. That's some Jordan shit for one. But again, that shows that kind of peels back that perception that Jordan was in any position to help the Washington Wizards as a franchise. He was there for him. And he saw this guy as a little whippersnapper that he didn't want to play with, or that he felt like wasn't good enough, or he felt like, he needed to be as hard as he could on the kid to try and break him. And he did shit like that. And I mean, that has an effect, man. I mean, that would have a negative effect on Kwame, mainly because it's almost as if not almost, it is him trying to embarrass Kwame. And you see his teammates right here. His teammates are right here validating that this was not about building Kwame up or grooming Kwame to be, a franchise player. It was about pulverizing him. And, much respect to Kwame Brown. You didn't hear this guy coming out and talking shit in the media. You didn't hear him, giving excuses. You didn't hear him blaming other people, but he knew what it was. There was blame to go to other people, but he never brought it up. Throughout his whole career, he just played ball. He did his job. And on the other side of that, while he's just doing his job, these people who are supposed to, be knowledgeable in the sports world, these analysts, these people like Stephen A. Snitch, These guys not even demonized. They humiliated and they drug his character and his name through the mud for decades. Decades.